Hello, Scott. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth. People were wondering where were we last time.
Well, I will tell people where I was practical for being on this planet. I have one of the desks, right? I can show the people for the show so they can understand it practically because I'm a practical person. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Come on, come into focus. You can do it.
Hurry. There
it is. There's my monitor. This is a glass top table and it has a slider door, right? The old desk I had was wood, and the rollers and the ball bearings started falling out of this slider. It was coming apart. The day of the show, I had to go get another desk, buy another chair, which is this one, put them together. Took me all day, and get everything torn apart in the room, put it all back together, just to get on with you to tell you I couldn't do the show. I was worn out and tired and couldn't have done it. But I had to get this platform that I used to do the show set up at least for this time. So there's an all new desk and chair and stuff like that. It's just a practical thing. I was pretty tired physically at that time to do a show, so I told you I couldn't do it. Wouldn't be for the best for everybody. We can do it today.
Okay.
If stuff happens, you got to take care of it. If your desk falls apart, you get a new one, you put it together, you go back, carry on.
Scott, before we start our journey, can you talk about your books a little bit? Like when will be ready?
Sure, I can. I've done this before, as you know, but it always bears repeating. These are the way the books look right now, and they've been out for some years. But I'm always working on improving things. I have 2 more books written. This is the first book of the Parallel Time Trilogy. You can see a light ship hovering above planet Earth and a ship moving around the world. That symbol is an ancient symbol for Lemuria. It is also a galactic alliance symbol. That's the symbol for my companies and for my work on this world. It's really not from this planet. This book is about what happened over 100,000 years ago before the poles flipped on this planet, involving extraterrestrials and people living here from other worlds. And then it goes into how their influences come about to today on this world. This book, The Savior's Agenda, is smaller than this one. I obviously work with these a lot. They're worn. Has planet Earth on the front. This I had to design off the internet, but it's not an original design cover necessarily. Has a nebula on the back and a big statement on the back. This book has a special technique section in the back and a glossary of characters and terms. It's going to be published this month before the end in this size. They're both going to be the same size, larger, with entirely new covers designed by a top artist with me to represent scenes from both books on the covers, original. And I'm going to be publishing it with typos that we found with the help of my friend in New York that 3 paid editors missed altogether that I trusted. And they're just little things that are hard to see that psychologically people read them, don't even see them. But I've been helping him for a while, and he was able to find things that I wanted to correct in these books, little typos, little things, a missing A or a missing the or little stuff to keep improving them, like the new covers. So they're going to be published. Took quite a few months to develop those covers. Not inexpensive by any means. I certainly have probably spent far more money continuing to promote what I do on this planet for the benefit of all life here than I've ever made from these books. Spent far more promoting them or hiring companies or to get these out, to get them to another level. That's done to get them out on another level for the benefit of the people on this planet. It's not done for fame and fortune or money or anything else like that. If people had any understanding really about who I am or why I'm here, they would understand that my motives are not based on things from this planet. They aren't. I don't ask anybody to take my word for that, and I really don't care if they do or don't. But it is important that they understand that my dedication to this has nothing to do with the temporary silliness of this world and how it's run. Because it's backwards. It's run upside down, backwards, and inside out completely, compared to many other worlds out in our galaxy and other dimensions. This is a very backward planet. It is not normal like people think it is. Anybody being born into a body like this, thinking that they're the body, or not remembering who they are, what they are that isn't this body, that's a kind of a trap for a being. Which means that the people on Earth have a history out in the universe. They were made to forget, intentionally and deliberately, without their permission. And they were put here not of free will and with no memory. As if some supreme being is telling them to come to Earth with no abilities, no higher faculties, no memory, and get it right. That's not possible. What really needs to happen for people here is for them to remember who they are as beings, not this, and how it's normal for them to run bodies, to come up with new ways, to create new ways of doing things for the benefit of all life, which is the purpose of an individual being, Atma or soul. The Atma is what beings from other worlds that are very evolved spiritually and technologically call soul. What we call soul, they call Atma. And it is a drop out of the very center of the core of creation itself, made of exactly the same energy with the same faculties of the source itself, the prime creator. I don't use the word supreme being because that implies a tyrant, supreme, lord over everything, dominating everything. I've been to that source and I go there every day. It's way above the void known to most Buddhist monks. It's way in the upper worlds. There is no source or being at the source that ever commanded that any of us worship anyone or anything. That was done by tyrants over time between that source and this world. And they don't have your best interests at heart. It was done that way on Earth by tyrant royal bloodline kings and families controlling priestcraft to keep people under their control. And that type of system was not invented on Earth. It was imported to this planet from other worlds, from tyrant worlds. Few in number, majority of worlds out there are highly evolved benevolent systems. But if people know anything about benevolent beings, they don't go and blow people up and kill tyrants. They find out ways and discover ways to change or alter or free tyrants from having tyrant natures. If you just go to war with such things, it just creates more repercussions in space-time. It creates an equal but opposite effect. That's one of the basic laws of physics in the physical universe. Whatever people put out creates an equal but opposite reaction. That's thought and feeling as well. That goes out in the universe and affects things. The beings I work with out in creation that are what I would call really normal don't put themselves up above other people. They don't demand anybody worship them. And I'm talking about spiritual adepts too from other worlds. Beings who know who they are respect each other. They respect the source behind all life. They do not worship it. And they respect all life, including each other. Because the actual, I don't want to call it a command, the actual encouragement from that source is for us to go into the lower dimensions of time and space and to experiment and create new ways of doing things, to bring back to that source, to download it, to share it as part of that source so that we can change the way the lower dimensions work. Right now they're run by tyrants who compel people to reincarnate unconsciously here over and over again. When a person begins to become aware of this in a given lifetime on any world, their journey back to that source has begun. some part or core aspect of their being, despite what was done to them to make them forget, begins to wake up anyway. What comprises the energy of the Atma or soul is not atoms and molecules. It cannot be destroyed with nuclear bombs. It cannot be affected by negative weaponry. It isn't physical matter. It is energy, but not as most people on Earth understand this. And that energy has the capability of moving itself around the multidimensional universe, in and out of bodies that it runs. A normal planet out in our galaxy, in this physical level of the dimensional universes, this physical level of a parallel dimension out of 144, even before you get to the lower astral plane. It works on a principle of there's an energy field that runs through it, connects all things together, and it is not matter. It is not atomic in nature. It is the energy behind matter that doesn't necessarily follow the laws of physics. And it is a living energy field, and beings like us can plug into that field, recover who and what we are and what we used to know, despite whatever is on the planet, who's running things, who's in government or anything else, because this process begins to affect all of them in a positive way as well. It isn't like people think. If you want to change or get rid of the experiment of evil, positive and negative, good and bad, and all that confusing stuff, then you have to do something to put out an energy that will benefit all people stuck in it, including yourself. People on Earth aren't taught anything about this at any school I know of by almost anyone, anywhere. Direct knowing perception is one of the highest faculties the Atma has. It is not a physical plane faculty. It's not in the brain. It's not part of a physical body. It allows the being who is spherical in shape and energy to see and look and know things and plug into this omnipresent field of force through everything that isn't matter, and have access to that entire pool of wisdom and all the beings that work in it. The reason and purpose for recovering all that, people call enlightenment, or self and God realization or anything like that. Self-realization is really the being understanding what it is, that's what it really is, that isn't physical. Waking that up, which is spherical in shape. Have people ever wondered why planets and stars and moons are round? They aren't flat, they're round. They're round because they're patterned after the beings who make them. And that's all of us. Just because people on Earth no longer remember what they really are and what they really look like, it has a structure, and it can move around the universe, in or out of bodies, and run bodies on a number of levels of dimensions simultaneously. Every single person who might listen to this radio show has the capability to recover this. I don't care who they are on this planet. Once they get into the right field of energy and it spirals upward, it cannot be reversed. Because the destiny of an Atma is to become a conscious, fully aware co-creator with the source behind all life, trusted and free to move about the multiverse and create in it. If people on Earth can recover that, then they can have the freedom to move off this round of incarnations of lives and deaths, get out of that illusion and go out and do what they were originally came into the lower worlds to do, which is to find new ways to do things for the uplifting benefit of all life. And that means not just life on our Earth, life in the entire multidimensional universe is the way we're really designed, you might say, to function. People on Earth are quite nuts because all that's been suppressed in them. They're not functioning like they should, and they know it. Everybody on this Earth knows something was done to them that isn't quite right. Even hidden leaders on this planet, classified people, are beginning to change for the first time. What is taking place now out in the universe that is new, didn't exist before, and was created in planes very high up from here, from this world, is moving in one direction, moving through this solar system. It cannot be reversed. It cannot be altered. And it's for the uplifting benefit of all life, including tyrants. You cannot solve this problem of retiring evil as an experiment in the lower dimensions if you don't have something far superior to it to take its place that actually works, to free beings to co-create with the source, which is our original purpose. The lower dimensions we live in down here are run by tyrants right now, but they're changing too. That's a good thing. And the thing of it is, what I try to get across to people and do eventually when their vibration is raised enough and awake enough, they begin to remember all this stuff for themselves. It's not me trying to give them my great knowledge, it's them recovering their own and their own ability to plug into this multidimensional universe and know things again. That's what this work is about. Okay, let's go on a little journey with the permission of you, yourself, Perry, and that of your radio audience, who they might be. It's really a YouTube broadcast in a sense. It's not a live radio show. It's pre-recorded, and then when I'm done with it, I send it to Perry, and she puts it up on our YouTube channel. It's easier for.
Turn off my mic, okay?
Excuse me?
I will turn off my microphone, okay?
Not quite yet. We're almost ready.
Okay.
Did you have any questions you want to ask me before we go on this journey?
For now, no.
What we're going to do for those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, some of you that might be following some of this, I don't do this so that you can become a follower of me. I don't do it for money because there's no money involved. I don't charge any fee for any of this. Me personally, I mean, in doing this, because I work with beings from other worlds and other realities who don't use it. And for my work to be effective, I won't use it in this way. I can sell books, yes, but this kind of work that I'm doing now, there's no monetary system on any world involved in it whatsoever. And I do it that way because the energy that I work with that comes through me is telepathic. And it's connected to many beings not of this world who are kind and wondrous and have gone through a change recently out in creation themselves, including what I call the silent mentors who run the mechanics of creation, who few beings have ever met. They're all changing in good ways that makes it possible. For one thing that was recently done a few years ago was the permanent cessation of the polar flips of this planet, permanently. I know because I was part of it. I don't speak about this stuff lightly or just make it up. Well, a few years back, the poles of the planet was announced that it was tipping 8 degrees and it was going this way. We were overdue for $100,000 year change. And then it suddenly flipped back to where it was in 1500. That has to do with the mechanics of creation getting involved in ending the golden age to iron age kind of thing that some people know about in spiritual and religious circles on earth. The way of doing things in the past with the destruction of Lemuria and Atlantis and all that stuff was unique to this planet, primarily because of what happened in galactic history in this solar system some millions of years ago. Our planet was destroyed with people on it. That is now an asteroid field between the planets of Mars and Jupiter, circling around the sun in the orbit of a planet. It isn't space rubble. It was a world that was blown apart. The planet travels, let's just take an average, 50,000 miles an hour around the sun in its orbit. You blow it up, it's already in this momentum. Goes out, some of chunks go off to Mars and destroy the atmosphere, some go to Earth, kill off dinosaurs or whatever. as an example. But most of it eventually continues and spreads out and becomes, and it circles around the sun in balance between two other worlds and assumes an asteroid field, creates an asteroid field. Scientists are wondering how it got there. The only thing they tell people in school, universities on this earth is that there's just space junk that collected in the orbit of a planet. Not a very convincing theory, since there's no way for a gravitational field to do that between two worlds, unless that field and that centrifugal force was already in place when it was destroyed. Most of the matter that made up that world is still in the astrofield, not all. Some of it was blown out and caused havoc in this solar system. Started polar flips of this planet. And it's been like that, like a yo-yo for a long time. So you could have beings from other worlds come here, colonize under treaty, some totalitarian, some good. No one world's been allowed to own it, dominate it. It's been like a Switzerland under treaty. And then when it comes time for the poles to flip, which they couldn't control, it would wipe out all life on this planet. Very violent. Hence those that could leave wood, those that brought slaves to do mining and leave them behind. If a few thousand survived the entire planet, be lucky. And then they're back in savagery, procreating, making babies with shut down genomes on their DNA, compelled to reincarnate with no memory from tyrants and their misuse of science. And you end up with a population like we have here, and others being brought here illegally, compelled to be here with no memory, political prisoners, you name it. At this point, beings from other worlds are quite well aware of many of their missing relatives and friends that they couldn't find long ago in galactic history, because tyrants were masked their energy signature. Well, that's no longer the case. So beings are being out from outside this world, are beginning to become aware of who the beings are that are stuck in bodies with no memory. This is a very good thing. Indeed. Did you have a question?
Yes, Scott, since you mentioned about the pole shift, maybe I would recommend people to read this book, okay, to understand more. Because now whatever happened on Earth, like earthquakes somewhere, storms, people always link with our poles going to shift, so maybe this one can explain what you were talking about.
This one is not so much about polar shifts, although the information is there in galactic history. This one is more about what happened and when and what happened to this planet 100,000 years ago, because there's not going to be any more polar flips of this planet. If there were, we might as well all get in a big bus somewhere, find a nice high cliff, get in it, and drive off it together, because it's pointless to be alive here. If one of those events happened, poles, the physical poles and magnetic fields flip. I don't care what scientists tell you, because they're all working with theory. They don't know. When that happens, moving around a molten core, some people think it's hollow. Well, maybe there's a parallel dimension with one where it is, but not this one we're on. And the land masses break up violently, and the ocean floors rise up and counterbalance. You get whole new land masses very quickly, very violently. Ocean tidal waves thousands of feet high at 600-700 miles an hour. You would not survive it. You wouldn't. An underground base 2 miles down would not survive this. So if this had happened or was allowed to happen again, no life, including hidden governments and classified people on this planet, would have survived it. And the few that are off-world would eventually have died out. You can't run off-world colonies without support from Earth, not yet. So they were planning a future to survive what they considered to be the most important elite if the rest of us were wiped out. And that future is gone. It's no longer there for them. They know that now. They are becoming aware of choices they didn't have before. They're becoming aware of beings from other worlds and things that can assist us to make this transition into a higher way of life for everyone. We really don't have a choice, because when people think they have free will to be destructive, to be lying, cheating, dishonest to everyone else. They think that this is their right and that it's good for the good of all life. It is not, because they're putting out a negative energy field through deception that harms them and their families. They're doing it to themselves. You cannot play in both fields and call it good for the country or the planet and be deceptive to your fellow beings. It does not work. So the beings I work with have nothing to do with wanting to control governments on Earth or take over a planet or in that nonsense. But they are very interested in getting beings that are on this planet to wake up out of the stupor they're into, this darkness of not knowing anything. They don't even, the people that run this world, classified or not, don't remember who they are. As an Atma, they still think they're a body. Some of them might remember a few lives somewhere, but most of them don't even know that. What gives them the right to think they're more intelligent, to lord everything over everyone else for the good of all life here? It doesn't work. It's not a system that has a future. They know that. I'm speaking to people that run this world. They know they don't have a future the way they're headed now. Not out in space. They're never going to be allowed to play outside of the solar system the way they are now. Because the races of space is already occupied by far more advanced races that have solved this problem of not getting along in one world. When you're in space, you look at a world, one beautiful world with oceans and land. You don't see cities, you don't see wars, you don't see barriers between countries, you don't see the ignorance and the stupidity and the greed and selfishness based on fear, subconscious fear, that runs this world today. One beautiful world. Beings in other worlds live on their one world in harmony for the good of all life. They create in laboratories for the good of all life. It's not selfish. And this is normal for the majority of the worlds that are out there that people on Earth expect to go out and play among the stars with those people. How are they going to do that being the way we are here? They're destructive and dangerous, fear-ridden and driven by subconscious terror. What happens with people driven by subconscious care? They act first, shoot first, talk later. They're not going to let us bring ships out among the stars with radioactive warp cores and bazooka weapons to blow everybody up. Radioactive materials are illegal outside of this planet. There is no constructive use for them. I say this strongly only because I mean well for all the people of this planet, including myself. And it's focused at the benefit of people in power, people, regular people on the street, classified people. They all want to get off this or get out of this rut they're in. I don't think any of them want to lie to anybody anymore. They just don't know how to do it. They've been doing it so long. It's how do we get out of this, you know? How do we tell people the truth without rioting in the streets? Well, one of the things they're going to have to do is trust themselves as beings and trust people as beings who have been conditioned from movies for decades about aliens. They're ready to be able to actually know the truth and still go to a job and do whatever they got to do and feed families. There doesn't need to be an interruption of commerce or food or trucking or stores or anything. The beings I work with are going about this transformation in a way that's for a non-destructive way. They don't care about running this world, but they do care that people on this world that run it do not destroy it or threaten to move their stuff out into space the way they are, because they will not be allowed to do it. Quarantined within this solar system. And it's going to remain that way until a change happens enough here so that beings can come here and give us ships and technology and warp travel and interdimensional travel and everything else, cures for diseases. They've had it for millions of years, no big deal. But they're not going to give it to people who are going to hoard it and use it for money and dominate people with it. It's never going to come to this world that way. The people in power here today know that. They're not stupid. They're looking for a way to do this properly. I don't blame them. They've had things done to them without their consent that have made them, in fear, make decisions based on subconscious fear they don't even know they have. And that misdirects things into destructive patterns. This is all reversible. It's all reversible. Down deep, each being running a body on this planet, way back in their history, galactic history and interdimensional history, knew this stuff before. There's no race of beings on this planet from any race, whether they're Asian or Caucasian or African American, what people call black people, or dark-skinned people or light-skinned people or Indians or Eskimos. None of them evolved on this planet originally. What did I just say? It means human beings aren't native to this planet. They did not evolve here from dinosaurs and fish from this. All theory. They have not one shred of proof outside of theory that there's any link to any of that, because the missing link is not on this planet. It is out there in other worlds and in other galaxies where human beings did evolve before they were brought here in one scenario or another, going back more than 55 million years since the big dinosaurs were made extinct here. Where is all that history for people? People on Earth don't remember any of it. They can. There are techniques and there are ways for beings to recover who they are. But they have to get off their duff and actually do something to exercise higher faculties. Number one, they don't know they have anymore. When they do know them, they have to exercise them, get them working again. It's common sense. So let's go on a little journey. Consider this out-of-body travel 101. And I'm not talking about astral travel or astral projection, because that's limited just to the astral plane, the emotional area. Astral body cannot travel into the causal plane. The physical body cannot go into the astral plane under most normal circumstances anyway. So the Atma can go, the real person can go between these levels and run a body here and know it. Billions of beings on other planets and this and other galaxies do it all the time, because they can get above into other planes where quantum physics tries to see. They can see the physics that's necessary to make a ship go from here to the other side of the galaxy in a very short period of time. How to get through time and space or around it, because they can see above it. If you can't do that, you cannot play among the stars. Playing among the stars is not purely a physical device type of technology. To understand how to work interdimensionally in craft, gravity, whatever you want to call it, you cannot do it with radioactive materials or nuclear power, as they call it on Earth. You can't. It can't be done that way. It's too limiting. What is it? You have a nuclear power plant. All that it does is this material they've artificially refined to be dangerous, deadly. If it gets out of a lead-lined case, all it does is boil water to make steam to drive turbines to make electricity at 10 times the cost of natural gas. So who or what is keeping that 10 times more expensive stuff that's only deadly in place? That's misdirected thinking, for sure. I can't blame people on Earth doing it, because I know what was done to them. They were misdirected before they were compelled to come in this world and live here with no memory. And they have no memory of it. They're terrified to confront what happened to them. There are definitely ways to get over that terror and recover it as a memory, so that what is suppressing their higher faculties can be nothing more than a memory. And they can move on and play in the universe again like they once did long ago. For me, faith is a great place to start for people, to believe in something. But it's a terrible place to end up. And what I mean by that is, if faith, belief in something, doesn't lead to direct knowing experience about what they believe in, then all they have is faith, and then they die. There's no guarantee they will not be compelled to reincarnate here in another body with no memory. If you're on Earth with no memory of who you are that is not physical, and you don't remember your other lives or what your history is as a being, then you could consider that you've already been caught by Satan or the negative stuff, whatever extraterrestrial form that may have taken. Because there's only, on Earth, if you're that far down and knowing who you are, there's only one way to go, up, or back to recovering who you are. It's as far down as you can get. So people are thinking about getting out of their bodies, the devil's going to get them. I think they should rethink that. They're already got. And they need to give that up and move back into what they once had. Because there's only one way out of here, and that's to get out of your body. Whether the body dies or you leave it many times before it dies, and you know exactly where you're going to go when that body ceases. See, that's normal. That's what my work is all about, really. Helping people recover who they are. That isn't this illusion that they're going to lose anyway. What's the point? It's pointless, you know. The work I do with beings from friends from out of town, as I call them, off-world, has to do with helping people do that in such a way that they are living actually a more balanced physical life here through the enlightening process. Not what they used to think it was. Go off and live in a teepee, you know, and give everything up, and that's not going to do it. So we want to help people recover all over the world. I don't care if they're the Queen of England or classified. It doesn't matter to me. I know what was done to them, and I know that they can get a handle or mastery on it and undo it. And they need to do that if they're going to step up from where we are in this planetary culture and move out into the universe as one world of people, who a lot of who want to return to their original home planets and remember things. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have field trips on the weekends for our kids to other worlds? Being given the technology to travel the stars, cure all the disease, get people moving in and out of their bodies and living properly, live 1,000 years instead of 80. That's not normal. Everybody knows it. They just don't dare admit it because they're frightened. If they speak out, someone will lash out at them, and oftentimes that's true. I know beings that live on many world systems that are human that live at least 1,000 years, minimum. They got rid of disease and microscopic life forms that were the precursors of life that developed these genetic forms. They got rid of all that because it's in competition now with who we are. It's no longer necessary to keep it around. There isn't even anybody on this earth that government's legally allowed to say they can cure anything. Not even the common cold. How absurd is that on a planet that has cities and airplanes and all this stuff? How backward is a world that can't even cure the common cold? Pretty backward. And if there is a cure for it, people are hoarding it out of fear from giving it to the rest of mankind on this world. I can say this, they're never going to be allowed to play among the stars fully or deeply. Lying to the people of this planet. That's got to come to an end. And then beings that are kind and advanced, who are not tyrants, will come here and provide everything we need at no cost. And they don't want to run our world. They've got plenty of them to run. I think that's important for people to know this, because once they hear it, they're going to begin to remember. My work is telepathic, even on these shows. It's not psychic. It's okay to be psychic. I'm not putting it down. It's just that telepathy is a pure form of communication between beings and the universe that does not involve matter, positive and negative streams of energy. It's underneath everything. Let's do a little journey. I'd ask people to get comfortable lying in a chair or laying on their back somewhere. Put all just in your imagination. You do it all the time. You imagine a beautiful woman if you're a guy, or you imagine a beautiful waterfall or a hummingbird or snow-capped mountains, or when you went on a ski trip or whatever. People do it. It's called daydreaming. And when you see something like that with your eyes open or closed, it's not your physical eyes that are seeing it, open or closed. It is the being that is spherical that runs that body that's seeing that somewhere in some reality. If visions become distorted or dreams are scattered when you wake up, it's because the person went to bed at night in fear of the future. And it will distort what you're doing when you're out of your body at night, and you'll bring back a jumbled nonsense because it's destructive, it's negative. People conditioned to fear the future are going to have scattered perceptions of almost everything. You cannot take negative emotions and fear and visualizations into the other worlds and gain anything permanent. So we put that aside through our own free will, just for now. All the fears about our health and our future, how long we're going to live, kids and parents and wives and husbands and all that. Put it aside just for now. You're not being unkind. You're just doing it so that you can get out for a little while and explore the universe like you used to be able to do this. You have the capability. It just takes starting the process after lifetimes of not even knowing about it anymore. That has to stop. I send out this hue word because it's not native to this planet. It did not get created here by any individual. It is more than hundreds of billions of years old. It's beyond space and time. It is a sound that we can make as human beings, either in our imagination silently or with vocal cords, that sets up a certain frequency that's parallel to the real frequency that runs through the whole multidimensional creation, and we plug into it. We all have this ability, even if it's dormant, even if it's been suppressed. It vibrates the head upward only. Om, off the mental plane, vibrates this area. Hue works with the pineal gland in the center of the brain, works with the rods and cones in it, like you have in your eyes, but they're tuned to other frequencies and other realities. So you can go out on a beam of energy, which is not made of matter. It's not electrons and protons or atoms. And you can connect a cord to the body that's not a breakable cord. It's not an astral cord or a golden cord. It's beyond that. We put the body in the trance state called sleep. You do it every single night when you go to bed. You just don't know what a professional expert you are in it because it's being done unconsciously, which means people are putting their body to sleep and identifying with being a body and going unconscious with it. And they go out and play in the universe and they don't bring any memory back because they've never been taught at birth, growing up in this society on earth, they could do this. Why would they have any awareness of it or focus on it? But once this information, once this starts to cross the path of a person on earth, they begin to remember. It's inevitable. Imagine someone you love, respect, you're grateful that whatever that is in your life, person, place, or thing. Something when you imagine it makes you smile. This is a very constructive, positive use of the imagination. The imagination, the word imagination, is not made up in the brain of a human being. Something people need to get or they're going to be in darkness and confused the rest of their lives. There's nothing in the gray matter in a brain that has a motion picture camera in it, no projector that you can project things on that you can see. When you see an apple or a hummingbird or a waterfall or a snow-capped mountain range or a beautiful sunny summer day or flowers or smell the scent of gardenia or lavender, you're doing that as a being out in the universe somewhere without realizing it. The Atma is the only thing, the spherical form of what you are, that can see and know things in creation. It sees the multiverse. It sees other planets. It sees parallel dimensions. It sees where it came from. It can remember. The brain of a human body for one lifetime doesn't have any memory of any of this. It grew up with what it had in this life. It doesn't bring back all that. The Atma that's running that body unconsciously knows this stuff somewhere. And we want to wake that up in a safe, productive way, a way that's going to be beneficial to all life on this planet, which sorely needs it. And that means all life without exception. Plants, animals, buildings, people, any race, any religion, doesn't matter. Classified, non-classified, doesn't matter. Underneath it all are beings who used to know how to circumnavigate the multidimensional universe. And this is being moved forward for people to recover that, not just on Earth, but many other worlds as well. It's like the whole multidimensional universe has gone through an evolution and is now coming out the other side with new ways of doing things that weren't there before. Be aware of it. I'm going to send these tones out in a series of higher levels to raise the vibration so that it's focused on the beings listening, co-creating, raising their vibration to begin to remember what they were made to forget long ago before they found themselves incarnated here with no memory or very little. When the body's in the trance state called sleep, what happens is this is a telepathic channel, so to speak. It means that it's operating in an energy field that is not affected by negative emanations of any kind. Neither beings in or out of bodies, good or bad, or any technology known in the lower dimensions whatsoever. It was set up that way in the beginning. Everything is recoverable, including awareness. What's happening is the pineal gland begins to secrete serotonin, makes melatonin. Anyway, what matters is that it puts the body in a state where the lungs work, heart works, blood pumps, It's in a deep sleep state, but the being is consciously aware, listening to my voice. The being, the real you. And it's perfectly fine to leave that body safely protected in this field of hue, which is an omnipresent living energy that no negative thing can penetrate, no matter what it is or where it is, when you're involved in the middle of it. You'll have to find this out for yourself through your own direct experience to know that it is true for yourself. I can know knowledge and truth and wisdom of the vast nature of the multidimensional creation itself, the source behind all life. Co-create with it, the source behind all life. But it doesn't do any of you any good if it's not your own experience as well. So I kind of function as a stable rest point in eternity to help others remember their nature in this way. I'm not from this world. I wasn't born in this world. I came here from another world system, was captured, forced to be in a body here, and made to forget everything. And I had to recover that against all odds by beings who thought I could never do that. Did it anyway. And if I can do it, every one of you can. Just as easy as it is for you to imagine a beautiful, say, hummingbird, rainbow colored, hovering, peacefully looking at you about a foot from your face. You can imagine yourself hovering above your body as a spherical form of energy, looking down on it, sitting there in the trance state called sleep. If you listen while you're above your body, you can hear the sound current, the audible life stream, the primary sound behind all creation, humming there, connecting everything together. When you look out of a telescope or out of the Hubble telescope or from the space shuttle into space, you can see all these galaxies and nebulae and stars and all these things that are in the physical universe. And that's fine. But when you're out of your body, you can see that in the black void of space that you see from images from those shuttle or Hubble telescope, it looks like it's black with billions of stars floating in a black void. But that's not true. The physical eyes of a human being on Earth are not designed to see above a certain spectrum. There's actually a white field of energy with a golden tinge to it radiating throughout the void of space, connecting all planets and all beings and all things together. And it goes upwards into parallel dimensions and then up into major other divisional dimensions, and then up and across what's called a void or a barrier, and up into world systems above that void that are not comprised of time and space. It is energy, but it's not nuclear, it's not atoms and electrons and things like that. What makes up the energy of an individual being that runs bodies like us is made of that same energy from up there. We came from there, and we're destined to return there from our long experience with new insights and new ways of doing things to fix the greatest problem there is. How do you make the lower dimensions of time and space function like the upper worlds? That was the original idea. It's never worked out, but it is beginning to. My efforts are to help people recover and so that they can start to co-create that into existence by playing an important integral part with all of us in it. It's going to take every single being. There are already countless billions involved in moving in this direction in the physical universe, in the Milky Way galaxy. Earth is simply going to have to move in the same direction. Doesn't need to be any destruction or any of that silliness to make this change, not now. In the past, when things got too bad, whole worlds were either wiped out, poles flipped, masses of people killed, get out of their bodies confused. Eventually they find another form, get back on Earth, and go at it again. That kind of a system's been running for many billions of years, and it does not work. You could say that the source behind all life trapped itself in our form, in these bodies. And let's just say that the source is waking up to recover who we are. We are not slaves of some source, some supreme super being. We are co-creators with it. We always have been. Be above the planet in space that we were talking about. As a sphere of light, just see yourself there. You don't need to breathe oxygen. You're a radiant ball of light with many others. Looking at billions of stars, you can see the planet Earth below you with polar ice caps and water and land, and the barren moon that doesn't turn on its axis, just moves around the sun, always showing us the same face. I want to show you something. We've done it before, and we're going to do it again. Let's take a little journey up above the physical universe. There's a friend of mine named Ambassador Torelli, and he is the ambassador for the Say-Rays race. They are human, very tall, and they had physical bodies, were 18 to 25 feet tall. Skeletons that tall were found in completely developed human beings millions of years ago on this planet. They were found currently that are millions of years old, I should say. And as soon as they're discovered, they're classified, because if to reveal that to the public means they got to reveal everything they know about extraterrestrials, because they are extraterrestrial in nature, thus classified. That kind of paranoia of releasing that kind of information to the masses of people on this planet serves as a trap for the beings who perpetrate it. It's not something they're comfortable doing. It's not something they like doing. It's not something they should be doing anymore for their own well-being. They're going to need massive help from other worlds and other realities that are kind and highly evolved to change this place, because it is really backwards and upside down. It is fixable, and particularly now. In the past few years, past 7 years ago, there wasn't even a new ray, as I call it, in this omnipresent field, this Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. Something new was brought into creation to retire what we call the experiment of evil, good and bad, replace it with something that will keep the systems in place and change them the way they're run permanently. What is underway now cannot be reversed. So we might as well get in swing with it and enjoy life in abundance out among the stars with fellow beings on many countless worlds. The tyrant races out there are being, how do we put this, that travel the stars, going through a process to no longer be tyrants. It's not like what you see in TV shows and films on Earth. Something else is taking place now that was not expected, unanticipated in creation. If I can get in tune with this and help people on Earth to do this as a kind of ambassador, which I am, then everyone else on Earth, because I'm just a fellow Atma being from another world, just like everybody else here. The being that was in this body when it was 3 was kicked out by beings from another world, and I was forced into this against my will and made to forget. Well, that didn't work because I've remembered everything. Since I'm on this earth with a body, it's my prerogative with others from out of town, from off-world, to begin to make inroads to change this place permanently for the good of all life, period. That's it. That is my only motivation for being on this planet. I have no other that matters to me at all. It's practical, it's ongoing, it's irreversible, and it's good for all life. It's a win-win for everyone. You're in space hovering, looking at Earth, looking at this white field of energy with little gold specks in it, moving through everything, up through space, out this way, onto other worlds, connecting the moon to the planet, us to each other, Tyrellian is hovering there in a spherical form, and we're circling around him. There are friends of mine, husband and wife teams from other worlds, from the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds, that are here. They have bodies on ships that are stationed around the Earth and in parallel dimensions on this planet, and they are sitting in the back of the ship right now with 3 other couples running things, being alert, and they are with their eyes closed on this journey as their real self. When you look down on this world, this beautiful blue-green planet, one world, one atmosphere, you begin to realize that none of the beings in so many different diverse cultures and races could have ever evolved on one planet this way, with so many different skin colors. And the races that are on this planet represent races from all over the galaxy that evolved on many world systems where there's just Asian people, or just Caucasian people, or Nordics, or just African-American type people, and they aren't even African-American. They're from the stars, highly evolved, sophisticated race. Everybody's thrown on this planet in a mix in a history they don't remember and made to forget. Is it any wonder it's such a confusing place? When people begin to remember out here among the stars, just in the physical universe, who and what they are, everything starts to be recovered. Once this process starts in the hue, it is not reversible. You'll find it out one way or another, every one of you. And I'm speaking to every single living being on this planet. I don't care if they're royal families or classified or what the heck they are. They're a drop in the bucket of what life is out in our local systems, just near our solar system. Drop in the bucket. There are more than 450 plus million spacefaring races in just 1/4 of our Milky Way galaxy that I know of and have experienced. And many more than that in other dimensions and other realities. The technology that allows many races to travel among the stars also allows them to travel between parallel dimensions. 144 of them on different molecular timelines before you even get to a barrier, and then this is what people call the astral plane. These are real places that exist at different vibrational levels. People on Earth have been made to forget all about this. Like they need to learn it in some distant future when they're more enlightened. That's nonsense. They need to recover first what they had, and we can all move on from there. The availability from beings from other worlds to help this planet go through this transformation, good beings, is here. Now it's up to the people in charge if they really want to be benevolent and be remembered in history as those who spearheaded the way to disclose everything and move this world forward. Because we're never going to be allowed to have a nuclear war on this planet. That's been stopped many times since the end of World War II. There are people in control here who know that. That kind of thing is not going to be allowed because it would harm hundreds of billions of beings in parallel dimensions right where this Earth is, that aren't like this Earth, in a higher frequency where life exists in abundance that is not polluted. Look down on this world from space. Watch a heat wave come over it. See the Earth change right where it is. It becomes a world with no polar ice caps, a large continent over the equator from the left and the right hemisphere, extending considerably far in the northern and southern hemispheres. You're going to see golden letters appear on it, Lemuria, Lemuria, in English. It's actually Galactic Standard, but we'll get into that another time. Or Hue, Mu, MU, down below it, just to show you what it is. You can see on the bottom of this continent a half-moon base-shaped green emerald beach, even from space. The other side of the world, you can see right through it. You can see a continent 2/3 the size of this one in front. And you can see a moon off to the left that has atmosphere and water and lakes and little mountains and 6 or 7 dome cities on it. And it's spinning on its axis around our planet. This is in a parallel dimension, right in the space where we are on this planet in a higher frequency that you don't know about. It is a prototype. It's been here for ages, and it's been set up to be duplicated in the world where we are, with a moon that is alive with an oxygen atmosphere. Yes, the technology to do this exists. Of course it does. Just not on Earth yet. We're going to go down and visit that emerald green beach, all of us together that are willing. Ambassador Turellian is a very good, trusted friend. He's kind. They immortalized their physical bodies, these human bodies like us, 18 to 25 feet tall, over 1 billion years ago. They aren't from this galaxy. They aren't from the Andromeda galaxy. They're from further out in creation. They're responsible for developing the genetics of bodies like we have that actually have the capability, when certain genomes are turned on, to run higher faculties of the Atma through it to know things in the multidimensional universe. They help develop this in many races that travel the stars, human and non-human that are kind, some of which became tyrants. That's being dealt with. Long time ago, and then they vanished to see what we would do with it. These bodies run at 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit normally, carbon-based, and they're for Atmas to run, not for us to think we're stuck in a body. That's all wrong. We have bodies in this physical parallel dimension on Earth to perceive matter that's made of the same time rate, smell the air, play with flowers, build things, get experience, and all that. But we were never meant to be stuck in bodies thinking we're bodies. That is a trap for the Atma. And it was created by tyrants in galactic history misusing technology. That's being reversed. We're going to move down through the atmosphere of this planet Earth in a slightly higher frequency than what you're used to. We're going to come down through this pure oxygen atmosphere. You can smell it. You can feel it. As a spherical being, all your senses are there, and you can go through it. You know it's completely uncontaminated. And you're going to find feet, bare feet, sinking down into this half-moon base-shaped, mile-long emerald green beach. You're a sphere above it, but you're feeling feet go into that. And it feels warm and cool at the same time, and a green energy comes up you, your legs, and into the white core of your being, and out to the fifth layer around you is an Atma, and lights it up. Here's what an Atma or Atma soul looks like, what people call soul. It has a structure. A white core. Another layer of teardrop-shaped lights that's a little yellow. A little further out, red. Orange, red. Kind of a green, blue, violet, lavender, golden energy around it. These are levels of higher faculties that a being has. A hydrogen bomb could not do anything to an Atma. It's not made of matter. It's not nuclear. There's no protons and electrons in it. It isn't like that. Consider it higher science, higher spirituality, whatever you want to call it. This is what we really are. And we run things like this. You can see giant palm trees along the inside of this beach, and a brown path 3 feet wide leading into the jungle. And in the distance, a huge, because you're floating above this, and you can see a huge 4-foot-high lavender field. We're going to move over the tops of these trees as beings and come to feel our feet touch ground on a white marble circular floor around a crystal statue of a woman. She looks like an angel. It is a device of a sense, in a way. Big wings behind her, made out of quartz, polished, golden band around her head, and an upside down, teardrop-shaped, emerald-faceted crystal in a headband. White, silver, white hair that looks like silver. Violet eyes, beautiful woman, beautiful elegant gown, bare feet, standing on like a 4-foot square lapis lazuli blue stone with gold laced through it, polished. Their hands out like this. facing that emerald green beach a mile away. And they're glowing green. And you look out at the beach now you just came from, and the sand glows about a foot above the sand. It's glowing. You just had your feet in it a while ago. It's charging this fifth layer around your being. This is about remembering. When you come up and float above this statue and look down on it, you'll see that Torelli and myself, Perry and many others, masterful beings you can sense, who have names, who have lives, several couples from the Galactic Alliance who are here in their Atma form, have left their bodies on their ships stationed around the Earth, shifted out of phase. It means that they're operating in a higher parallel frequency of matter. They're not detectable by radar. They are invisible to people's physical eyes and perceptions, unless they want to be seen. They are here to watch us, that means everybody listening to the show, do something they're not supposed to be able to do, having been implanted subconsciously to forget. The Atma cannot be suppressed forever. When you're seeing what I'm describing, an aspect of your being is actually here seeing it, while your body's in the trance state called sleep. Remember this. This is not fantasy. You're really doing it. Move up above this statue of this crystal woman, higher and higher till you see off in the distance, further inland, a snow-capped mountain, and a domed city covering a large, very futuristic city with 3 golden pyramids and quartz caps underneath this huge dome, the base of this mountain, up above blue-green forest trees. There's a waterfall coming out of a cavern, an old cavern, pouring thousands of feet down this mountainside, disappearing in the blue-green forest trees behind the base of this domed city. Above it is another semicircular with curved edges tunnel with lighted semi-spherical lights going down the center. That comes out inside the interior in a certain frequency, the mountain of Mount Shasta in Northern California. Inside is a base manned by people from other worlds. They are human mostly. They've been there since 1908. They cannot be attacked. They aren't there to threaten this world, but they have kept it from having nuclear war 12 separate times. That's not going to be tolerated because it is not real free will that governs a person making decisions based on subconscious terror to annihilate their own world. That would harm life that those beings on Earth making such decisions do not know exists. We do not have that right as a planet of human beings to destroy this world and harm so much life elsewhere, and we're not going to be allowed to do it. That's one thing that is certain. No one wants to run the governments of this planet, but that's one thing will not be tolerated. You are here in this reality to begin to remember your ability to move around. We will visit that dome city another time. But I can tell you that there are beings from other worlds there, very advanced, what you'd call master teachers from other worlds that they respect, who have been operating here for a very long time. They can come back and forth from this parallel dimension on Earth into our reality to carry out certain missions to protect this place and its leaders from annihilating this place until we can go through this transition. Fortunately for us, we're not alone in the universe, or we would have all been dead a long time ago from nuclear war. See yourself feeling your feet go down into that green emerald sand again on that beach. And just dig your toes in it, feel it. Smell the air. It smells like a mix of gardenias and lavender. Turquoise blue water, crystal clear. When you look up in the daytime, you can see the moon, and it looks like a little miniature Earth. moving on its axis, alive, with domed cities, like the one you saw at the base of the mountain. It's a prototype. This place is real, but it's being set up as an example of how to transform the earth we know and the moon. More changes will be coming here because it's better to have no moon around a world with life on it like ours, or more than one. The reason for that is because the tidal pulling of the moon on water on the planet and in the water in our bodies pulls on people's emotions. It's very hard to advance. We can do it, but other things can be brought into existence to counterbalance that in the days to come. Find yourself hovering in orbit above the planet where we started. Torelli and myself and Perry looking down on the Earth we're familiar with a barren moon that does not turn on its axis, beautiful blue-green planet, no fences, no barriers, no walls, just one world, one atmosphere. And then find yourself hovering above your body, smiling down on that form. Let the green energy you experienced come through you, through that body, from the white core of your being hovering above it, from the green layer 5 levels out from that core, and let it move like a river through your body into this world. This is for the benefit of all life only, all life. To remember. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. I think that will be a little deeper, a little better for people to kind of get a handle on what they're capable of. And they may have doubt and fear about it, but that will pass.
Okay.
Any questions that you might have or anything you want to talk about before we sign off?
Just to say, during this time, if no need to wait for your new version, can get the books and read now too from Amazon, no, Scott?
Yeah, these are going to have new covers. This can be a little bigger by the end of the month, I would think. With any typos that were still in them removed, and you're going to see the covers are very delightful. I think I shared them with your radio show people a while back. If you'd like, I could do that again.
Okay.
And let's see if I can find it. Oh, here's something I should show people right now. Okay, because it's going to be important. This is what an Atma looks like. The real you without a body. It has structure. It is not made of atoms in the sense of electrons and protons and quarks. It is the quantum physics behind quantum physics. It has depth. It has a white core like a sun. It has all these little teardrop shapes coming out that are yellow, then orange, then red, then becomes like a green and a blue and a violet and a lavender and kind of a golden energy around it. This is what you go out into the universe and see and know things with, not the physical body, not the brain of a human being. But you can bring back awareness of this and recondition that brain and that body to know things that it was never taught growing up here to remember. And makes it healthier. It's like a very healthy thing to know what it is and what you really like as a being. It's quite beautiful.
Scott, when you talk about the teardrops in Atma, you know, all these teardrops, what will happen when all of them illuminated? I mean,
well, right now for the people on this journey, this barrier, this layer here was lit up quite bright. The teardrop shapes in it, each one is a higher faculty. So let's find out.
Okay.
If I go into these files, if I can do it quickly enough, I will do it for the benefit of those watching or listening to this rather long show, but very important one. Let's take a look here. And if I take a look at the And let's take a look over here. This is going to be the new cover. Oh, that's no good. It doesn't come up right. I needed to come all the way up. Let's see. How do I get this? Okay, there we go. This is the new cover for the Sayers Agenda. This is the character, Mark Sandfield, in the book. This is a ship beaming him up. Here's his tent. He's in the high Sierras. 3 assailants in black camouflage clothing, firing beam weapons at him to try to kill him. He's jumping out of the way. It's blasting a section of this tree right out of dematerializing it. And he gets beamed up to safety and meets an extraterrestrial human aboard this ship, saves his life. He's out on a solo camping trip in the High Sierra Mountains in California. The front of the cover is a ship that is a mile long, one of the smaller ones. It has a bridge control here, a bridge identical one in the back of the ship, oval vertical windows all the way down the side that are view portals for its occupants, and scout craft, 3 pods, the kind of clear blue dome tops, moving through the center of the hull into a launch bay. They don't go through open doors. They change the molecular time rate and pass right through the metal hull and then lower the vibration to land inside. It's a sealed craft. There's a blue glow around it. It's anti-gravity powered, obviously. This is for traveling between vast areas of galactic space, even to other galaxies. This is stationed in the ice rings of the planet Saturn in our solar system, permanently for now. It's camouflaged in the ice rings. It's there to keep this world and the solar system from tyrants coming back here who have been removed from the Earth.
There was like some kind of information saying like the ice ring of Saturn now is dissolved. Is it true, Scott?
Yes, they are ice rings. Some of them as small as a pebble, some the size of a skyscraper that make up those rings.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's take a look at the Emerald Doorway book. There's the new front cover for this book. This is a scene over what's left of land after the poles flipped 100,000 years ago, destroying Lemuria and most of Atlantis. There was a colony almost independent, the opposite side of the planet on the equator, except for a 500-mile square island, which became the Atlantis people know about from Edgar Cayce and other people. But this was 100,000 years ago, way further back than when the Atlantis people hear about was destroyed through the mystery of science. These are anti-gravitic discs that people stand on, gravitates them to them. They can fly through the air on them. This is a staff. It is a device that this master teacher uses. This is a little creature named a Dren. He's silica-based. His tail glows like opal in bright sunlight. He's really quite beautiful. If I can get him up a little larger, I can show him to people.
Mm-hmm.
He's green. He's got a photographic memory. He's married. He's not human. He is from another world. He is silica-based, not carbon-based. A photographic memory, quite intelligent, telepathic, has vocal cords. You can talk with him. I've met him. Great guy. And then this is the Ancient One, which is the manifestation of the source behind all life. We look the same on a smaller scale. This is his Calum. This is Captain Calum Melina. This is his ship, stationarily orbiting in the clouds. And this is a interdimensional doorway that's open between the first realm above the void known to most Buddhist monks, which is where this being came from. Actually, this came from a much higher level, but it came through this doorway so that this master teacher can introduce this to Etta, Calum, and Melina after the poles flip and all life is destroyed. So life goes on. There's so much revealed in this book that I think people we better go on the journey for themselves to discover, because they're going to remember stuff. They're going to start remembering stuff. So that is that. And if you look at the back cover, you're going to see a guy that is what you'd call a bad guy. 100,000 years ago, who was being trained by a master teacher who returned to power. You can see he's holding the earth in his hand. He's got stolen this crystal, one of 3 from his master teacher. And this is part of the challenge of the people in this adventure, to get this from him or to stop him, because he's bent on dominating the galaxy back then as a human. That's a long history being shared here with people. They can get a lot out of it. I just wanted to share it a little bit. Let's see if we can get this now. Stop sharing. And we're back here.
Okay. That's great.
So that should be of some help to people. They can wait and get the book now or later, but it won't be out till towards the end of the month through Amazon or Barnes and Noble, the rest of that stuff. It's very important to me to change this into something more revealing visually. And this one too. This is neat, but it doesn't reveal what that new cover will do for people. So, and
Scott, for your website, there are many languages too, right? All the languages people can
let's
go
go take a look. Let me show people, because otherwise you have to explain it to them. Let's go right here. Let's go right to paralleltime.com, which is my primary website. I have 4 that are all connected for a reason. This is what the primary website looks like. Front page. Another planet, woman in a bathing suit, not on Earth. Moon here, very different water, nice plants, kind of tropical, pretty cool. And if they come here, they can play this recording, which is pretty self-explanatory. These are 2 books that will be coming in the future that are written, not yet published. When you come down, there's these wonderful short videos that are narrated by Jessica in New York. Absolutely, let's see if we can get one playing. They're only 1 minute, 20 seconds, but they're very moving.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, how do I get rid of that guy? Okay, so if I come back here, okay, that's in the way. Let's go back here. Let's see, there's that. Got to get this off of here somehow. And of course, this is not normally how I go about doing this. To stop sharing. Let me go back to it and pull it up again, and then I'll show you the site. And I'll show you this language thing we were talking about. Up here you can see these links. This will go to a place under About Scott Hugh that has a recording of my voice, nearly 24 minutes in 3-part harmony, sending out the hue that people can hue with to get a charge and start waking up. and it's looped, so it's a continuous sound. There's a third tone in the middle of those three voices. I didn't put there. Terrellian did that. It's a tone of the universe running through the middle of it, so people can hear that for themselves. And if you go up here and look at books, there's two galleries people can look at. That's Terrellian. If people want to know what he looked like in a physical form, very tall, that's him. Bigger eyes than humans on Earth, but we get our genomes from that race. There's this other, if you click on these images, it pulls up a story about each character in the Emerald Doorway. Mm-hmm. And if you go to this one and click on any of these, it takes you to a carousel. And you can watch and look at all of the illustrations in black and white, very clear, of the illustrations that are in the Emerald Doorway book. That's Master Nim. He's Asian, but he's not from Earth. Isir Strelem. These are people from Maldek who were killed. These three leaders were destroyed when that planet blew up. That's a master. The Sopelum. He's Oceanan, blue skin, little webs between his fingers. We could actually mate with them. They're very highly evolved, the greatest crystal science in the universe. So you can go through all these and have fun with those. If I go to film projects, it'll give you a little bit of an idea what I'm doing with those. I have an album. I'm a composer. You can play any of these tracks. I'm a stranger on a lost island, somewhere in the universe. The lyrics are, I'm a stranger on a lost island, somewhere in the universe. Stranger on a lost island on this island, Earth. Radio shows that I've been on and interviewed on that you can listen to. They're all free. Video conferences, things I've traveled around the world and done presentations on, radio shows or at conferences. Coast to coast, John B. Wells, different things. And there are many more. News, if I go into this, it has articles about different subjects of interest to people that starts in theory as it's known on Earth and goes into knowing certainty in my work. So I begin to reveal more about what's behind these things. People can explore any of these and click on these and go to deeper article depths about any of these subjects. And we go home here. You come down here. Let's play one of these with voice.
Prepare to experience the revelation of hidden truth on a grand galactic interdimensional scale.
Go to YouTube.
Break free from the illusion of this world by awakening the experience of true free will. Know about the recently underway transformation of this Earth taking place behind the scenes. Let your higher senses be awakened as you safely step inside this unknown territory. Expect the unexpected with the books of the Sayres Agenda and the Emerald Doorway, Book 1 of the Parallel Time Trilogy. Authored by R. Scott Lemrio, direct experience-based hidden truth researcher. Was the planet Earth always like this? Were we ever technologically more advanced than we are now? Find out answers to these and many more mystifying questions with the eye-opening revelations found in these books. Discover the truth today at www.paralleltime.com.
So that's one of many. And if you, now we'll go to the website and I'll show you this.
This is Jerry. This is Control Tower in the Wells Fargo mobile app. It shows Jerry recurring payments, including a few streaming services he forgot.
That's an advertisement.
It's time to clean house, Jerry. Good move. This.
You have to close that window, yes.
There we go. It's just Google doing an advertisement. Let's go here. And I'm trying to share all this with people on this radio show. Okay, if you look up here, you see where it says select a language?
Yeah.
Let's say I want to read this website in Arabic. Now it's in Arabic. Not the videos because you can't change the titles on them, but the basic website is. See that?
Yes.
So let's say that I want to see this in Thai. Now it's in Thai.
Yeah.
So people can explore this and get something out of it any place on earth. And as far as the numbers of translation possibilities, just about all of them. Chinese, French, Hindi, Hungarian, Icelandic, Korean, Malaysian, everyone. Serbian, Russian, Vietnamese. So they can use this to get around the site and understand what's going on with it. And we're back here in English. This is something I don't normally share, but I will tonight, and then we'll sign off. Here are the other websites. They're quite spectacular. This is my publishing company website, tied to paralleltime.com. It looks like that.
Okay.
You can click these links and go to blogs or articles. More of these short, powerful videos. Beautiful music. And then about the books, reading samples. People can read samples of the books or find out more about them. When they scroll down the page, they're going to see what's coming, about the author, bit of a bio. And if I go here, total spectrum productions for film work, you go to another website, it looks like this, from another planet. There's a live planet up here above. There's a dome city in the background. There's a guy standing here. More of these videos, information about film work that's coming up, the books. Some blurbs about the Savior's Agenda and all 3 books of the Parallel Time Trilogy in front of a redwood forest. Bit of biography. My music album, With Another World, and Wylands on a water-covered world with another planet back here. And so forth. People can explore these links right up here, and they can go and look at the blogs. There's all these articles that people might find fascinating that I've written and reviewed with a company I hired in New York about all these subjects, heading in a positive, constructive direction that actually answers things. So if somebody reads that and clicks on it, they're going to go to a full story about it, whatever that might be.
Very interesting.
Okay, then if I go to another site, Spectrum Media, it looks like this. It's really quite uplifting.
Where is this place, Scott?
Oh, that's somewhere in the other worlds. But here's a beautiful mountain scene. It switches back and forth. And then it goes down to these short videos, and people should play these because they're very inspiring.
Ever wondered what lies beyond the stars? Is there more to this universe than what is revealed on Earth? Prepare yourself for the revelation of answers to these daunting questions from direct experience-based hidden truth revealing researcher and author R. Scott Lemrio. Enlighten yourself with awakening hidden truth through his books, The Sayre's Agenda and The Emerald Doorway, Book 1 of the Parallel Time Trilogy. Explore true free will and hidden creative potentials of the human race. Uncover the Earth's far more ancient true history, a most well-guarded secret. Begin your journey to direct experiential enlightenment today. Visit www.paralleltime.com.
So there's a lot people can get here. Just some of these articles right here. There's Mooney in Ontario, who does the website development with me, and my little cat Starlight. A little bit about us. Subscribe to our newsletter. You can do any of that. You can go here and explore the music because it's media. And if you click on this about the album, it'll go right to the paralleltime.com website where you can get the album or listen to long snips of each one of these tracks. Lemuria, I would recommend people listen to because I won't say more than that. And then you can go, you can see the books here. They're all revealed here and reading examples. People can actually read some parts of these. See the front and back, the chapters, what they're titled, very intriguing. Front and back of the book, and read it close up to get an idea of what it is, what it says. And then all these links are provided for Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Nook, iBooks, Amazon Kindle, so people can get this in print book or ebook form. They don't even have to hunt for going to the exact right sales page at this company. If you try to buy from one of these secondary booksellers, you're going to get an older book without the special techniques. So I recommend people get these from an online retailer, proper online retailer, for their own good, although they might not be satisfied with it. So we're back here. Those are a number of websites that I have interrelated for different reasons. And we can stop sharing. And we'll end this show and say goodnight to everybody and pleasant dreams.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott.
I'll get this recorded and off to you, and then you can put it up on your YouTube channel and people can go through it again.
So we see you again next week.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.